Alrighty, folks, so it's been a minute. You'll have to excuse my eyes and my nose running. So I've been working on a lot. The MS3 being one of the big things. The MS3 bike has been having some gremlins. So this happens a lot, especially with new ECUs. This is a new ECU for the market, right? It's using really, really old technology and trying to incorporate newer technology in the ECU. And it had some problems, right? So we have firmware issues left and right. I'm going to go through those quick. So the first firmware issue is that this ECU has a set firing order, right? You have to wire it in firing order. It's supposed to fire A, B, C, D channels. And then the injectors are supposed to fire A, E, B, F, C, G, D, H as sets, right, for sequential. Well, first and foremost, the firmware is backwards. He did fix that in the firmware, and it caused me problems, so I had him reverse that because I had already wired it backwards. It's actually firing DCBA. It was an error in the programming side of things, and Amplify has happily dealt with that. Then we ran into boost control PID issues, right? I had a boost control PID that, when assigned, would cause the entire tune to corrupt. He did some hunting, went through the firmware, found a correlation error where it thought that when I assigned, PWM output 1, if I assigned that to boost control, it thought it was also assigned to an injector, which it wasn't. The ninth injector for like meth injection or whatever, it wasn't. So he got that fixed in the firmware. And I got it on the dyno, and I started tuning, working through things. We got to making pulls. We got to where it was happy. And right at about 218 to 220 horsepower, it just starts skyrocketing lean. And I couldn't figure out why it was skyrocketing lean. So I started looking at the logs in depth, and I started pulling up duty cycles and realized that secondary injector duty was 0. Well, that made no sense. So I unplugged them, made a pull. Didn't change anything at all, right? So these secondary injectors would not transition. Looked at all the commanded lines of code. I'm running in Tuner Studio Ultra Beta, which is it's Tuner Studio Ultra Beta, 3.05.2.3. 02.2 is available for everyone. 02.3 is what I'm running for the AmpEFI guys, so that we can run prototype firmware. In that, I have access to see a lot of things. And it had every input, throttle position, map pressure, RPM, everything said, you're ready for the secondary injectors. And it just said, nah. And it wouldn't turn them on. So he went in, he corrected it in the firmware, so it would recognize that when all these parameters are met, start transitioning and follow this table. And bam, I've got secondary injectors. So before, to make 220 horsepower, I was at a 120 multiplier, so 20% more, multiplied by 1.2, the VE table, with a VE table that was at 140% VE, and my injector duty was just maxed, and I couldn't figure out what the hell was going on. So now I'm at a 115, which is where I want to be, multiplicative table, so 1.15 times the VE at 80 VE. Tons of injector. I am golden. We just got through this literally 5 minutes ago. So you haven't seen me because I've been on a struggle bus working through this and focusing and grinding on other things. We're going to go through the shop update here in just a second. But that's what I've been working on. Sometimes this causes delays. It's gremlins, it's hiccups, it's stuff that I'm not super familiar with. I know Tuner Studio. I know how to use Tuner Studio. And I swore left, right, up, down, I'm in the Tuner Studio MS owners groups. I am in the tech support groups. I am all over them. And people are telling me that everything I'm doing should work, and it doesn't work. Well, it turns out I'm not crazy. It's firmware issues. So we just made our first pull with boost all the way to redline. I just hooked up the freaking... So I'm not putting much boost to it. It's just boost creep that it's running on. I have a line going to the bottom of the gate to hold the gate wide open. I just took that away. Okay, so I just took that line away and went to manifold reference, so it'll make whatever the gate spring is. but we had 10 PSI holding the gate wide open. I'm going to spin you around. We're going to go through the shop update. So, Selfish, turns out has a stock pump, and that was causing me problems. So, I need a fuel pump, and we need to go to bigger injectors before we move forward on that. It also needs a flat pan because it takes 4 people to put this thing on the dyno, I swear. Actually, it's only 3, but we would be better to load this sideways, lifting it up and setting it on the dyno than we are trying to go up the ramp. The pan sits that far off the ground. Not going to work. Need a flat pan. Let's see. The red bike. This bike has got the new rings, new base gasket, new head gasket, fresh valve job, fresh valve seals. Everything's been inspected and cleaned and decarboned and beautified. Now, it's not as pretty as the other one because the other one I put a new block in because he had some corrosion in the block that I did not like. And I just exchanged him for one of my other blocks. But this one's same thing. Fresh rings, seals, gaskets, everything in the top end. Dennis is working on this. He's doing all the work to this. So he just went home. We need a new O-ring for the water neck. This one was siliconed up, gooped up, and was just destroyed. He's got that at home. He's got to get it. And the exhaust gaskets on this one were not reusable versus the ones that were on the other bike, which were reusable. So we're getting brand new ones of those as well. Well, no, I did brand new ones on the other one too, because he requested it. That's right. I don't remember why I didn't order them for this. But anyway, I forgot to order them. Anyway, I'm buying them from Dennis. It's gonna have the brand new gaskets. He will be back tomorrow to button this up, hopefully. It really just needs the exhaust hung, radiator, oil cooler, oil changed, fluids filled, throttle bodies. I'm cleaning the injectors after this video, and it can go home. This little bugger, it's an Angler 120 EFI four-wheeler. Has a starter with a bad spot in it. I cannot, for the life of me, hunt down a starter. But what I did do was tear his starter down. So, looks like we got some slightly fatigued brush springs. I'm going to change those out. This is scorched. So, I'm going to have the armature turned. And I think that's going to solve all of our problem. It's just to turn the armature, and if I can find new brushes, I want to put new brushes in it. But I got to see if we can even get new brushes. I don't think we can. Otherwise, I've got to continue hunting to see if I can find a damn starter for this, because it is really hard to find a starter. The Ender 3 is just chilling over here. I haven't been printing. Let's go to the lineup. Ricky's bike. You can tell it's a bike now. Ricky came over the last couple days, and he built the motor. It's got a motor in it. It looks like it has an oil leak, so we'll hunt that down, fix that. That happened overnight. I don't know where that came from. But anyway, basically what we did on this is him and Nickel started on it. I gave them steps to follow, and they went ahead and did it. One thing to keep in mind on this motor, it is all used parts, except for the bearings. Short of the bearings, every piece of this engine is used parts that came out of the scrap bin, right? So the gaskets, those came out of Eric's bike. Right? They're used, worn gaskets. I put brand new in Eric's bike because I don't want leaks. Case in point. The head gasket came out of Eric's bike. It was used. He scrubbed it down, took off all the loose Teflon, copper coated it, and stuffed it in. That was his discretion. He's trying to do this on a budget. All right. The pistons are used. The rods are... So one of the rods has been turned. It's turned to bearing, and it has been refreshed and resized. It does have some color in it. That was at his discretion. My machinist says it should be fine for the application we're using it for, as long as we don't go power at her. So, that's what we're going to do. Would I have built this motor this way? No. I won't do it for a customer. But for a friend, I'll help him out. Okay? He's got backdated 01 clutch, all the goodies in there. Nichols is ready to rock and roll. But we're holding off. He's got some stuff he's got to do before the season starts. This girl, I just need to get to it. I literally have everything to do it. I just need to get to it. Scotty is refreshing his new engine for the year. Going together. And we'll have more on that at a later date. This girl's in here. So this bike, I hate owning my mistakes, but I made a mistake on this bike. And this bike is in for warranty repair that was fortunately caught very, 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 very early. Okay, so this is warranty work. I'll have it knocked out in a hurry. This one, the only reason the butt's off of it is so that we can put a battery in it when he gets it. So he's got a Pulse P10 on the way. We put that battery in. I put that little brass plug in the solenoid, which I need to do today before I forget it. And this is ready to make passes. I got a few gas tanks over here just chilling right now. That one's got the pump out because I need to upgrade it. That one I need to put his pump back in, and it's ready to go on his bike. Anyway, Brett's bike. Brett will be here day after tomorrow to pick this up and take it home. I'm still thinking I'm going to take some time today, and I'm going to revamp that wheelie sensor bracket because I don't like it. I don't like how it sits at an angle. I don't like anything about it. So I think that's what I'm going to do next after the MS3. That is not his fairing. That fairing belongs to Randy Kane. I have a customer committed to purchase it. I'm waiting for the customer to bring his bike so I can go ahead and purchase that from Randy, and that'll be his. It's going to go on that carbureted bike y'all saw in like June of last year. I've been waiting for him that long. Anyway, that's what we got going on. This weekend is a busy weekend, so I thought I had a tune on Friday. It has actually moved out to the next Friday. That is a Gray Smith, Boost by Smith plug-and-play Gen 3 Hayabusa Turbo with a Scott Davis system on it. Should be a pretty fun one, pretty quick one. Might set y'all up and do a time-lapse on that so you can kind of see how long it takes. Maybe some live tuning. I don't know. I got a tripod now, so it'd be kind of nice to film some of that. Let's see. I might even set up here in a minute and do some of me on the MS3 bike so y'all can hear it. But this weekend, Brett's coming to get his on Saturday afternoon. Rob is coming tomorrow afternoon to drop off his 14. Once Brett gets here, Brett's friend is purchasing that 14. So the 14 that raced Art's GTR is sold, hopefully. And Rob is going to be purchasing another Turbo Hayabusa and Motorhead build to take him to the next step up because it makes about 100 more horsepower than his 14. And it's just nice. It is sweet. I got it all set up. I have to go through the 14 and take out all the personal features, like the names of the tunes just got to be simplified down, the pictures got to be taken out, so on and so forth. I'll just put a generic freaking ring tune sticker in there. I think that's everything I got for you guys. We're going on 12 minutes. I hope you all have a beautiful day. I'm going to open these doors again because my eyeballs are still on fire from the gasoline in here. Later, y'all.